to the Fearless Fans Podcast, your one-stop shop for everything Texas Tech related. Whether you're alumni, students, or just a fan of the school, we are proud to be on each week providing you the latest in Texas Tech University. And then some.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Fearless Fans Podcast. This is Steve, and I'm back with my buddy Keith, and we are the podcast formerly known as the Testosterone Zone. So we'll talk a little bit about the content of what this podcast will be about. Before I do, I'm going to turn it over to Keith and let him introduce our new co-host.
So yes, we have decided to take this episode and this podcast in a completely new direction. And by doing that, we've decided that we're going to bring on a couple more team leaders, so to speak, and hosts. And I'm really excited to share with you and introduce our three new hosts that will be joining us and being part of this show. First of all, we have John Thomas. John, say just a quick snippet about yourself. And before you do, I'm going to just preface this by saying in the next coming episodes, we are going to have some one-on-ones to really get to know your hosts. But this is just a quick introduction for each of us. So, John, I'll turn it over to you, and then you can bounce it to somebody else.
Perfect. Well, good to see you guys. Good to be on board. My name's John Thomas. I graduated Texas Tech in 2006. Met my wife there. Now live out in East Texas, and I'm a preacher, former teacher, two great kids, love life, love tech. Rack up.
There you go. All right. And so I'm going to go ahead and just bounce it over to Ryan.
Well, that would be me. My name is Ryan Butler, and I was on a couple of episodes with the Testosterone Zone, so y'all might remember me if y'all listen to any of the podcasts that I was a optometrist in the evil empire known as Austin, Texas. And got my private practice out here, and I went to Tech in the early 90s and just had the time of my life and just been a fan ever since.
Sounds good. Thanks, Ryan. Now, Steve Garcia, welcome. We have two Steves, so we're going to be separating them out by last name. So, Garcia, turn it over to you, my friend.
Hello, I guess I'll officially be known as Garcia from here on out. Born and raised in West Texas. Lifelong Red Raider. Lived in the Permian Basin for 13 years now, though, but I still call West Texas home. Bleed red and black, and I also went to school in the 90s and love being here.
Awesome, man. Welcome.
Yes. And so just first and foremost, we never really gave our full names on the last episode. I'm going to go ahead and tell you, just reintroducing myself. I'm Keith Abbott. Like Steve Garcia, I do live in the Permian Basin area too. I've been here since 2000. Went to school, undergraduate, master's degree at Tech, and in the 90s. Also worked as an admission counselor there for a while. So I definitely bleed scarlet and black. And really, when we started talking about the new direction of this episode, it was a no-brainer. The most likes, the most excitement we get surrounding the podcast previously was about Texas Tech happenings and alumni happenings. And so that's really what we're going to be focusing on. Really excited to visit with everybody and start this new endeavor. It's going to be a blast. So, Steve?
Yeah, my name's Steve Makelki. I was one of the original guys from the previous podcast. Longtime Red Raider fan. Was in the Going Band, and I know Ryan, Steve, and Keith through our college days, and really enjoyed getting to know John, so I'm glad he's going to join us as well. I have lived in 16, Keith and Noel made me count this. I've lived in 16 different places since my college days in Lubbock, so I'm a vagabond. And but no, we recently moved to San Jose, California from Alaska, so we're glad to be back in the lower 48 and ready to do some Fearless Fans.
He's a part of the witness protection program is what he's doing.
That's right. Yeah, you're going to hear some air in the background. He is in the transition phase to a new place and in a hotel with one of those amazing air conditioners.
That appears to be pointed at the air conditioner.
That's right.
So,
so
microphone, so.
For those that we are working out sound as we're trying to fit everybody into this, so bear with us as we get this thing kind of corralled, and so it'll sound better and better with some cool guest hosts. But really the theme of this, and I'll turn it over to John or anybody, but this is a podcast about us as fans, and we really like the idea of the Fearless Champions. That was kind of where we came up with the idea, or when Steve and I were really brainstorming what we were going to come up with. That's where the Fearless name came into play. And so, we've always liked that slogan of being Fearless Champions. And so we felt as fans of Texas Tech, and basically, all of us are fans of something else besides Texas Tech. So as we develop this show and start working on things as far as Texas Tech related, we will branch out and do some other things that we are all big fans of as well. So Steve Garcia, Ryan Butler, tell us a little bit about your philosophy of how we're going to do this show.
I think of Tech, and you go back in the 90s, and there were some great times in sports in the 90s. Whether you go back and you look at Spike and how he was as a coach, or you go to James Dickey, who was the coach of the basketball team, and there were some great times, and they were fun, but whenever you would talk about Tech and a championship, you would normally get laughter at that time. And right up until the time that UT won their national championship in the early 2000s, and I looked at my wife and I said, if it ever so happens that Tech ever gets into this game, and I couldn't even finish the sentence before she's laughing at me. But it wasn't but just a few short years later when Tech had a top 5 ranking in the football team, and we had that magical game in 2008, and suddenly people weren't laughing anymore. And you fast forward until now, and you got our basketball team that did make it to the national championship. You've got our baseball team that has consistently been in the College World Series. And, now we've got this new era with this football coach. And, at some point as a fan, we just think, why not Tech? This is no longer some pie in the sky dream for us anymore. This is a reachable time for us. And I just have this great feeling. I had a great feeling with coaches that we've had in the past, but I've got a great feeling now, and we've got a solid support in our athletic department, and I just have great expectations for the football team.
I thought you were going to bring up the 2008 loss OU 3 weeks later after beating UT.
Or the Ole Miss loss? No, not going to bring that up either.
Or the NC State loss, or Alabama, or USC, or
Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
If I could interject, I totally agree with what Ryan was saying. This is a genesis of time for Tech to be considered a sports school. I mean, who would ever dream that we would be considered a Tier 1 school before we became a sports school?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Especially being a major school in Texas, right?
I mean, we made top 5 lists, but it was the party school list, which is what we didn't want to be on.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hello, 90s.
Good time to be at school there. Wait, what? But yeah, you're right. And I think, Coach Beard said it the best when he was interviewed, and I think you all can remember this, when he was interviewed, when they were like, well, what do you think about Lubbock and the national championship and being out there? And then his quote of, why not us? I love that. And I think that's kind of where we're all starting to fall. I mean, basketball is solid now. Baseball is still solid. The jury's still out as to how this season's going to go in football, but I'm really positive with the new coach. We've talked about in the last show, we liked Kingsbury. This is nothing against Kingsbury, but I think this new idea of this new coach's mindset brings a whole new discipline, a whole new philosophy behind things in a college light that I think is going to really bode well for us. Thoughts?
Well, and I was thinking about it today. I kind of did a tweet thread on this, and this kind of overlapped with, which I didn't even read the article. This overlapped with the Viva Matadors article that they wrote with a similar theme. This is the first hire I can think of in football in some time that there wasn't a controversy with the previous coach. Like with Spike, it was David McWilliams left for Texas.
Man.
With Leach, it was, you still had a good portion of fans that thought that Spike was a great coach. And he really, it's not like he was having losing seasons. He was going to bowl games. With Tuberville, let's not go back down that road again. You ran off your most successful coach of all time. And even with Cliff, like his first press conference, I laughed when he said this because I thought he was correct. But his first press conference, he took a dig at Tuberville and said, "Hey, Kirby, let's schedule a game at Cincinnati." Like,
I love that. Yeah.
With Wells, the guy was happy in Utah. I mean, he's making $900,000 with his family at his alma mater. He's being successful, with, I mean, define success. He was doing well at Utah State for being like the third or fourth university in the state with successful football. And he left it. Yeah. He left it. And he brought his family and he brought his kids with all the negativity that can come with that, because now your family, like it or not, it's kind of open season. If you show your family on Twitter, somebody's going to make some snide comment, about your family. If it's you personally, whether it's how you do things, or maybe you don't dress like Cliff, or maybe you're not as quirky as Leach. People are going to point at that. And Don Williams wrote a great article the other day in that pullout section on Sunday, Lubbock AJ. Wells has made over 100 speaking engagements since his hiring. That to me speaks volumes. It is a new era, I think, with Tech football, and I'm looking forward to it. There's some ideas that we want to bring to the table, and I think one of them is probably getting to know Wells a bit.
I think so, and you can tell he's excited to be here. I don't think he regrets the move one bit. I think he's having a great time, and I'm really excited about that. Yeah.
The great moment from today's fireside chat with Beard. He had Jim Rome and Coach Wells on, and Beard jokingly told Coach Wells, he goes, "Yeah, because I knew you were a good recruiter as soon as I saw your wife at the press conference for your announcement."
Oh man! Wow.
Dang. Yeah, that was awesome.
With all due respect to Miss Wells, as he put it.
Yeah. So by the way, Beard was in rare form today. I mean, he said that his song of the week is "Sister Christian." So
nice.
I mean, he's
Well, did you hear Wells? Like, he even talking about getting to know him. Like, they asked Wells this song, and he's name dropping David Lee Berthy and Kenny Chesney. Everything's going to be all right. I could get used to him. That's a good song.
Yeah, that'll work.
What'd you think of Jim Rome?
Oh, he was something else. I can't believe he's still relevant, though.
He had good stuff to say, and I watched it. I think Beard had to be careful that not to make it all about Jim, because Tech opened the season on Saturday. But there's a few times they kind of got into a dialogue because they knew each other. I think from interviews or maybe relationships outside the show. But that was fun. That was fun watching today.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm gonna have to watch that. I didn't get a chance to see it yet.
Yeah, you got to do it.
You haven't seen it either, Steve?
No.
Yeah, that's what. As soon as this is over, I'm pulling it up.
There you go.
So that's basically the philosophy. Is we're really going to focus on a lot of Texas Tech athletics, Texas Tech alumni. We've got some really neat guests coming up in September, including the president and CEO of the Texas Tech Alumni Association being our first guest, and so that'll really set the standard for things to come. We're very excited about that. And that in addition to some of the things that we had fun with in the previous episodes. And Steve, one of those things is the Pick 5 Challenge. So remind everybody what that is.
Yeah, absolutely. So, carry over from the Testosterone Zone, we pick 5 college games on a weekly basis. We do it for all season weeks. I believe it's 15 total weeks till the main season's over. And we'll do a separate contest for bowl season. But 5 games, you get a point, cumulative point for each game you predict right. And then this year we're actually adding a 10-point kicker. So if you predict at the beginning of the season this year's national championship team, then you'll get actually 10 points added to your season total. So last year, Ryan, our new co-host, won this. And so he has the title to try to hold on to. And we think that little kicker is going to make that a little more exciting.
In fact, the only reason he came on is so he can be disqualified from that. I'm kidding. we are actually going to cut into the end of this episode the recording from last week, the final Testosterone Zones part of the Pick 5 Challenge. Ryan was on that, as well as Steve and our former colleague Noel, who will still be on this from time to time. He just had some other commitments. But we're just going to kind of re-record that episode or reintroduce that episode so you guys can know the teams and go from there. So just so you know, that will be there. And what our goal is to make sure that our Pick 5 challenges are released as late as Tuesday morning. And so you have plenty of time to be able to do your Pick 5. And remember that this is a free-to-play contest. There is no money involved in this. This is not gambling, but there will be prizes for the winners. And so we've got some neat prizes scheduled coming up, and we'll be announcing them throughout the year, throughout the season. So just be ready, but the more the merrier, so please tell your friends to join us.
Awesome. Yeah. So, I'm going to put the new guys on spot here. So we're not going to do the Pick 5 right now. But so Tech's got 12 games, a new coach. Obviously, some, mixed expectations.
Oh, man.
So,
let's see where this is going.
So, John, I'll put you on the spot first, Mr. Tech aficionado, John. What's your prediction? 12 games this season. What's your season prediction? Are we headed to the bowl game? What's that record look like?
For Tech? Man. I would love to say 8-4. And I think if you win, Beard, again, he made a bet today and said if Tech wins all 5 games at home, that he'll throw a block party on Broadway, his dime. So if you win three of those games are conference games, and if you win those 3, that gives you a chance at a winning conference record for the first time since 2009. I think they will get a winning conference record. Realistically, fellas, it's got to be 6-6.
6-6.
6-6 with a bowl win. I would love for Tech to get a winning conference record. I'd love to be wrong. If you get a bowl win, you're 7-6 in your first season.
There you go.
Which to me, that's you're putting it back in the right direction, and you're building your culture your first year. Yeah. I'd love to be wrong, but my prediction is 6-6. Get a 7th win in the bowl game.
We'd love for you to be wrong too, just so you know.
Absolutely. All right, Steve Garcia, give us your shot.
9-4 with a bowl loss.
9-4.
Great start, but not unable to pull it out with the bowl.
Nice.
Is it the classic end of season slide?
No, I think we're going to pull it towards the end of the season. I think we're going to wind up beating Texas there. We'll beat Kansas State, TCU, West Virginia. It's going to be early season screw-ups or just slips. It's going to make it, pull our standard Texas. But
that's interesting.
We'll lose a bowl.
Yeah,
9-4.
definitely.
I like that. I like that.
I like that bowl call.
Yeah.
No, wait. I thought we had 12 games. We have 13 games.
12 games.
9-4 with a bowl loss.
Yeah, that's right.
9-4 with a bowl loss.
If you add the bowl.
Wow.
All right.
Man,
that's good. I like it.
All right,
you guys picked a co-host who's drinking Kool-Aid already.
Someone's got to do that. Hey, John, are we winning that bowl game?
Oh yeah, we're winning.
Okay, so 7-6. All right.
Okay. Ryan, what do you think?
So which bowl? Which bowl are we going to, guys?
Let's not get into the weeds.
They add new bowls every year.
We got to figure out what the sponsors are for these bowls first.
Yeah, for real.
I'm going to say that our regular season is going to be 8-4. I'm looking up for it. I'm looking forward to it. I think there's going to be some late seasons downturns, either just from injuries or weather or the spike days of typical Tech. I don't know. It's like you can never really predict what the late season stuff is. But I'm going to say 8-4. Bowl. I'm going to say it's a bowl loss.
Okay, 8-5.
All right. Hey, that's solid. I'm going to say 7-6 with a bowl loss.
7-6.
Yeah. So I think we go 7-5 in the season and a bowl loss.
All right. I'm going to keep the cautiously pessimistic thing going.
There he goes.
And we'll go 6-6 with the bowl loss of 6-7 on the season.
Ouch.
Right, fair
And I
enough.
hope I'm wrong.
You know, I hate to say that that's probably realistic, but you know, it's probably realistic.
Yeah.
So
Well, I sure
By the
hope
way, I wrote
coaches.
all that down.
Realistic. We don't like it, but it's realistic.
yes,
Yeah,
absolutely,
yes.
absolutely.
Very true.
Well, let's hope coach isn't listening to this podcast.
I know. Well, but you know, the swing game is going to be the home conference opener of Oklahoma State. I'm almost positive OSU really didn't bring. I don't know how many people they have coming back this year, but the Tech mopped the floor with them on the road right last year. If you win that conference opener, you know, after I'm almost sure there's no way we'll beat OU, no Norman. I hope I'm wrong there, but if you beat OSU at home, and you go undefeated in non-conference play, that gives you 4 wins and a loss almost halfway through the season. That's with Baylor and Waco. That's with Kansas. That's with K-State. That's with TCU. We'll see. I'm still sticking to my 7-6, but watch out for that OSU game in Lubbock. If you win that one, and by God, if you make that a night game, you know, so help me.
Could be
but
good.
watch that one.
Absolutely, it's going to be fun.
Guys,
I'm looking forward to it.
Did the Sooners get a full look at Bowman last year? Didn't they just get a half?
Yeah, they didn't see the
I think
whole
you're
thing.
right.
And we were in the game until Bowman was hurt.
Yes, we were.
Yeah.
Yes, we were.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was where he got he doubled over through his helmet. He was so frustrated. Remember that?
Yeah.
I think, and the entire Tech Raider Nation was frustrated at that moment too. And went, oh, you could just feel everything deflate. It was horrible.
I think he took a hit at the goal line.
Yep, he did. He did. So
Yeah, sure did.
So
Yes.
I'm kind of glad.
Dane draw with.
Yep.
You know, our lack of depth, I think, is going to really tell the story. And, I mean, that's why I sort of went low with our win total. But, I know that Wells has grabbed some bodies, put on the field, and we're probably better shape than we were last year. But, I mean, that's the reason why we struggled last year is lack of depth. And if Duffy hasn't played quarterback much for us, then we're in big trouble.
Well, I saw the depth chart, and he's number 2. It looks like so.
Yeah, I mean,
MacGyver, I guess, got he's out for most of the season. Steve Garcia, you were telling me this.
Well, I think they said halfway through November, but he can still come in the last 3 games of the season and still retain his redshirt year. So,
that could be good.
Yes, he could.
Yeah.
He sure could.
yeah.
That
We
guy's-
can roll out whoever in the bowl game. It doesn't matter.
Just in time for that Texas game.
Yes.
Yeah, that might not be bad. Throw a new tool out there for that.
that's right.
That's good.
So if you roll him out in the last 3 games, you've got, TCU, Kansas State, and Texas?
Yep.
Yep.
You can be favored in 2 of the 3.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yep.
Really
Easily.
good. And I mean, and truthfully speaking, maybe the media and other folks have seen something in Texas that I'm not seeing. That they beat a depleted Georgia team that was upset that they couldn't play in the national championship in the Sugar Bowl. And they got jacked up by a Longhorn, almost gutting a dog right on the sideline. I just don't see, Texas being a top 10 squad. I mean,
Nope.
maybe I'm wrong. I'll see something different, but I mean, this is the same group that barely squeaked by Tech. They barely squeaked by Tulsa. I don't think they're back
Nope.
by any stretch, but we'll see if the season shows.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, one of the things we also wanted to talk about is to keep this a pretty succinct podcast. We're about 25 minutes into our recording right now. I know we also need to play the clips for the Pick 5 Challenge. I'll tell you, one of the last things that we try to do, I don't know if you guys have loaded up for this or not, but one of the final traditions we're bringing from the previous show is some excellent jokes that we can share with the masses. Are y'all loaded up and ready, or what's going on here? Are y'all ready? Are you prepared for this?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to take a rain check on the dad jokes.
Oh, that's all right. That's all right.
I'm not ready. I'm sorry, guys.
Well,
I didn't come prepared.
we can give you some examples, right, Steve?
Right, absolutely.
So why don't you kind of give us some examples of things we can tee up?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So actually, a friend of mine this past weekend, he and his wife, they had a baby, and they actually had the baby in the back of their car. So it was a boy, so they decided to name him Carson.
Oh, jeez. Okay, maybe we shouldn't have started with Steve.
That's terrible.
Oh, that is bad. Okay. So what's the difference between a cat and a frog?
Can't say I know.
A cat has only 9 lives, but a frog croaks every day.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. You should have started with that.
Yeah, it said no one. Said absolutely no one. Ryan, Steve Garcia, you guys have anything like this? Are you prepared?
I work in the tie industry. I'm going to have to pass till next week.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Hey, so guys, what did the bra say to the hat?
Oh, I know this one.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I remember this. Tell me.
Hey, you go on ahead. I got to give these two a lift.
Nice.
Actually, I do. I got one, guys.
Oh, fire away.
So, how do you think the unthinkable?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't either.
Well, you think it with an iceberg.
Oh, my
Oh,
Oh, my God.
oh my goodness.
That was a good one, Ryan.
Wow.
Yeah,
Loved it.
we're ending on that one right there. Oh, my gosh. So, and in the interest of time, what we're going to also do is do a separate episode for our first Pick 5 challenge. So that should be coming up next. Well, listen, thank you all for joining. This is the initial episode of Fearless Fans, the podcast. We're so excited to have this new endeavor. Steve Makelki, Steve Garcia, Ryan Butler, John Thomas. Thank you all so much for joining me with this. I think we're going to have a blast. We've got a lot to talk about, never an end of material for sure. And so we are excited to have this going forward. Like I said, we're going to have some great special guests. We're going to have a whole lot to talk about. And we're going to have rolling hosts. And so it's not always going to be the 5 of us. There'll be 2 or 3 here and there that is going to be the main hosts. And so it's not going to be a ton of overwhelming talk over each other. So we just want to make sure everybody understands and gets to meet all of us at the beginning. But again, thanks everybody for listening. Any last thoughts, folks?
Hey, Recom Tech.
Guns up.
That's what I'm talking about. Ryan, Steve.
Red Raiders, wherever you are, give them your best, give them your guns up.
That's right.
That's right.
Texas sucks.
There you go.
That's right.
All right. Thanks, everybody. And we will talk with you again next week. Wreck 'em.
See you later.
Later.
Right on.
Thank you for listening to the Fearless Fans podcast about everything Texas Tech related, and then some. All of our episodes are written and produced by Steve Makelki, Keith Abbott, Ryan Butler, Steve Garcia, and John Thomas, unless otherwise noted. Don't forget also to follow us on our social media pages on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
The opinions expressed on this podcast are solely the opinions of the show host and intended only for the purposes of this podcast.